This is Alex Eala's moment. Our dinners, our evenings are fixated when she's playing. That's real tennis fan.
Alex Eala arrives in Washington, D.C. for a $1.06 million WT of 500.
Alexandra Eala walks into Washington, D.C. carrying the weight of an entire nation's expectations, and the city is already loud before she has hit a single ball. Fans line the perimeter of the William H.G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center, waving Philippine flags outside a WTA 500 event that has quietly assembled one of the deepest fields in its history. She arrives here just days after the biggest heartbreak of her career, and the contrast between the two moments defines everything about this stop on the calendar. Rewind to July 6th, Center Court, Wimbledon. In the fourth round, Jasmine Paolini defeated Eala 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 in 2 hours and 22 minutes, ending the deepest Grand Slam run any Filipino player, man or woman, has produced in the tournament's open era. Eala led the second set before Paolini closed it out with a break in the ninth game, and the Italian went on to describe the tournament as a roller coaster in her on-court interview. The following day, Eala posted a short message on Instagram reading, "Everything. Salamat Wimbledon," a bilingual thank you to the tournament that had just delivered her career-best slam result. She did not take a break. She boarded a flight to Washington within 48 hours. What she is walking into is not an ordinary WTA 500 draw. The Mubadala DC Open, running July 27 through August 20, carries a total financial commitment of $1,637,982 and features 5 top 10 players and 15 of the world's top 20, according to the tournament's own announcement. Among the confirmed names are Elina Svitolina, the player Eala eliminated in Berlin weeks earlier and who now returns with a rematch on her mind, Marta Kostyuk, a former DC finalist, Naomi Osaka, a 2-time U.S. Open champion, Venus Williams, still competing at 46 years old after becoming the oldest woman to win a WTA main draw match since Martina Navratilova in 2004, and Leylah Fernandez, the defending champion in Washington. The tournament's own release confirmed that Eala is one of 20 direct main draw entrants, correcting earlier reports in Filipino outlets that had described her as a wild card. There is no wild card attached to her name. Her ranking earned the entry. That ranking sits at number 32 heading into Washington, a number about to climb once Wimbledon points are officially applied. 12 months earlier, Eala was ranked outside the world's top 140. The rise from there to a confirmed direct entrant in a stacked field is the story her June and July results have been quietly building. Compress that stretch into a single sequence, and the case for her becomes obvious. On June 19th in Berlin, Eala defeated world number 2 Elena Rybakina 7-5, 6-4, rallying from a breakdown in the first set to record her 5th career top 10 win. "I am a little foggy right now," Eala said in her on-court interview afterward. "I'm still shaking, and I was shaking on match point too." One day later, on June 20th, she beat number 8 seed Elina Svitolina 6-3, 6-4 to reach her first WTA 500 semifinal, extending her grass court record that season to 9-1. Then, on July 4th at Wimbledon, in the third round, she dethroned defending champion Iga Swiatek 7-6, 9, 6-2 in a match lasting 2 hours and 14 minutes, saving 2 set points in an 84-minute opening set before closing it out in a tiebreak. It marked her second career win over Swiatek, following an earlier upset at the 2025 Miami Open. After the match, an emotional Eala told the center court crowd, "This goes out to them. This goes out to my family. This goes out to all the little girls with ruffled socks and chubby cheeks." Behind that stretch of results sits a mentorship that has become central to her development. Eala has trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca since she moved to Spain at age 13, and in recent seasons Tony Nadal, the coach who guided his nephew Rafael Nadal to 22 Grand Slam titles, has taken a more hands-on role in her training. Speaking to Tennis Channel earlier this year, Eala described the relationship directly. "Meeting Rafa and just being able to converse with him on quite a regular basis is crazy to me. And sometimes I'm coached by Tony. If you told me that when I was younger, there's no way I would have believed you." Joan Bosch, one of her earliest mentors at the academy, has also remained part of her team, accompanying her through both the 2025 Miami Open run and this year's Wimbledon campaign. The scenes following Eala from tournament to tournament have become a recognizable pattern. Filipino fans have gathered in visible numbers at her stops across the season, and the crowd presence at Wimbledon was significant enough to draw dedicated media coverage during her run. Washington sits inside one of the most densely populated Filipino-American regions in the United States, and the tournament venue is a short distance from the Philippine Embassy. That proximity places Eala in a setting where her presence functions as more than a sporting appearance. It is a diplomatic and cultural moment layered on top of a tennis match. The stakes extend beyond this single week. Washington opens a three-tournament stretch that continues into the National Bank Open in Montreal, the Cincinnati Open in August, and the U.S. Open in New York beginning August 24th. A deep run in D.C. would push Eala closer to a top 25 ranking before Montreal begins. A title would mark a shift from a breakout season into a sustained career at the top of the sport, and it would put her in position to become the first Filipina to reach the WTA's top 20. None of this arrives without risk. Eala is coming off a loss, not a win, and the turnaround from grass to hard courts inside 3 weeks has undone deeper, more experienced players before her. A year ago in Cincinnati, the accumulated weight of a back-to-back schedule caught up with her. Whether that history repeats itself, or whether Washington becomes the first chapter of the run her team has been building toward, plays out on the courts of the Fitzgerald Tennis Center starting July 27th.
New ground for Alexandra Eala from the Philippines. By a joint.
The forehand landed cross-court, out of reach, and Alexandra Eala dropped to her knees on center court. Seconds earlier, she had been serving for the biggest match of her career. Now, at 21 years old, she had just eliminated the defending Wimbledon champion in straight sets. The scoreline read 7-6, 6-2. The opponent across the net was Iga Swiatek, a 6-time Grand Slam champion. The player who beat her was seeded 29th, competing in just her third Wimbledon appearance, and representing a country that had never produced a result like this before. To understand the magnitude of what happened on July 4, 2026, it helps to look at where Eala's tournament began. Eala entered this tournament as the 29th seed, already making history simply by being a seeded player at Wimbledon, the first from the Philippines to achieve that feat. No Filipino man or woman had ever carried a seeding into the draw at the All England Club. That alone placed her name in the record books before she had played a single match. But her run through the tournament had only just started. Her second-round match set the tone for what was to come. In the second round, she faced Maya Joint of Australia, the very player who had knocked out tennis legend Serena Williams in the first round. The match did not start in Eala's favor. Eala dropped the opening set 3-6, but she dug in, fighting back to take the second set 6-2 and then completely overwhelming Joint in the third, closing it out 6-0. The result carried historical weight beyond the scoreline. That win made Eala the first player from the Philippines, male or female, to reach the third round of a Grand Slam tournament in the Open era. Hundreds of Filipino fans packed Court 3 to witness it, creating an atmosphere that carried into her next match. Waiting for her in the third round was a far more established name. Swiatek, the third seed and reigning Wimbledon champion, a 6-time Grand Slam champion, had cruised through her second-round match against Karolina Pliskova, needing just 69 minutes to book her spot in round 3. On paper, the gap between the two players appeared significant, a rising 29th seed against a champion with 6 major titles to her name. Yet this was not unfamiliar territory for Eala. The two players had actually met twice before, with a head-to-head tied at 1 win apiece. Eala pulled off a stunning victory over Swiatek at the 2025 Miami Open during Eala's fairy tale run to the semifinals. Swiatek answered back a few weeks later, winning their rematch at the Madrid Open on clay. This third meeting marked new territory for both players, their first match on grass and their first on center court at Wimbledon. Before the match, Swiatek spoke about the challenge ahead. She admitted she didn't know Eala's grass court game particularly well, but she knew from their previous meetings that Eala possessed what she called a tricky game. She suggested that unpredictability could be amplified on the low-bouncing grass surface at Wimbledon. The first set proved her right. Eala broke early to take a 2-1 lead, but Swiatek responded by winning 4 of the next 5 games to seize control. Serving for the set, Eala held a set point. only for Swiatek's championship experience to produce clutch forehands that saved it and leveled the set. The two players traded games all the way to a tiebreak. That tiebreak alone was worth the price of admission. It stretched to 11-9, with Eala converting on her fourth set point after an hour and 25 minutes of play. The center court crowd, largely behind the underdog, erupted as Swiatek's final forehand of the set sailed long. The momentum Swiatek had built in the middle of the first set did not carry into the second. Eala broke early and often, racing out to a 4-0 lead built on a double break. Swiatek, uncharacteristically error-prone, struggled with untimely double faults and could not find rhythm. She mounted some late resistance, breaking back and forcing Eala to work for the finish, but it was not enough to change the outcome. Swiatek fought off deuce and saved multiple match points with strong shot-making as Eala served for the match. On her third match point, she unleashed a cross-court forehand winner that Swiatek simply couldn't reach, sealing the victory and sending center court into a frenzy. The final scoreline, 7-6, 6-2, in favor of Alexandra Eala, after 2 hours and 15 minutes of gripping tennis. In her on-court interview afterward, Eala said she did not quite know how to put the win into perspective, that she was through to the second week of a Grand Slam, and that it felt amazing. She praised Swiatek as a phenomenal player and a genuinely nice person, adding that she felt grateful just to have shared center court with her. Eala also reflected on what the achievement meant on a personal level. She noted that for a player like Swiatek, or legends such as Serena or Venus Williams, this kind of milestone might seem modest. For someone who grew up in the Philippines chasing this dream from outside tennis traditional power centers, she said it meant everything. This victory added another chapter to an already historic tournament. She had already become the first Filipino player, male or female, to reach the third round of a Grand Slam in the Open era. By defeating the defending champion, she advanced to the second week of Wimbledon and reached the round of 16 at a major for the first time in her career. The win also extended a broader pattern that has defined her rise over the past year. Just over a year ago, she became the first player from the Philippines to crack the top 100 in the world rankings and the first to qualify for a Grand Slam main draw at the French Open. Since then, she has continued to add new milestones to Filipino tennis history, one tournament at a time. For Swiatek, the result marked an early and unexpected end to her Wimbledon title defense. A 6-time Grand Slam champion beaten in 2 sets by a player seated 29 spots below her. For Eala, it stands as the biggest win of her career to date, surpassing even her 2025 victory over Swiatek in Miami, this time achieved at a Grand Slam on the sport's most famous court, against the very player defending the title. As she turns her attention to the fourth round, Eala carries the result of this match, along with the growing weight of expectation from an entire nation, into the second week of Wimbledon. The day a 21-year-old from Quezon City brought center court to its feet and knocked out the defending Wimbledon champion is one that will be remembered in Philippine sports history.